Luke Kuechly retired yesterday, and he had a great career. 7 Pro Bowl appearances in 8 years. He was 5-time first-team All-Pro. Hall of Fame voters look at that. They're not as interested in the Pro Bowl appearances as they are, you're a first-team All-Pro, which Luke Kuechly was 5 times. He was the Defensive Player of the Year. But with Kuechly, you're going to remember a lot of good things, but you'll also remember one of the more notable concussions in recent history. He was carted off the field in 2016. He was crying uncontrollably after suffering a head injury. And concussions haven't been front and center, certainly not lately in the NFL. The movie Concussion with Will Smith came and went. This year's been about great TV ratings, and the sport seems to be thriving, but Kuechly's decision to retire at 28 is a reminder of just how dangerous head injuries still are. And even with the league changing the rules to protect players, this sport will never be completely safe. And it's one of the dilemmas we have as a football fan. You root like crazy. We love these collisions. We love guys who are physical. But the players we love, like Luke Kuechly, you want them to have a long, healthy life. And he does have money. Now, I do think that this is, I can't say it's a smart decision. It's his decision. Do I think it's the right decision? Yes. And I hope it's not too late. I don't know if he, maybe there's information here that he got that is going to scare you. And when he was with us, this was at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago in Minnesota. And I talked to him about these concussions because when you see a player get hurt and he's crying uncontrollably and can't stop because of this concussion, how scary that is. And he's played that way. You go back to Boston College and watch Luke Kuechly. He was a battering ram, and that position has a collision on every play, and usually a violent collision on every play. Your goal is to have a violent collision on every play. That means you're tackling somebody, knocking somebody down. Here's Kuechly talking about the difficulties of a concussion.
I just think it's one of those situations where I think what makes it so difficult is every concussion is different. I always tell people, when you say you break your arm, you can go get an X-ray and it shows you exactly where it's broken. There's a very well-documented procedure of, all right, we're going to put a plate in or we're going to cast you. We're going to put you in that for 4 weeks. We'll go back and give you another X-ray and we're going to see exactly where you are. I think the thing with concussions that makes it different is it's hard to do that. So everyone's different. Everyone reacts differently to each one. So it's one of those situations where you just gotta trust your doctors, trust your trainers.
That's when Luke was on our show at the Minnesota Super Bowl. And you have to allow a concussion to heal. You want to help your team. There's only 16 regular season games. You can't change your style. And he's a form tackler. You look at some of the great tacklers. Ray Lewis was a great form tackler. Brian Urlacher, great form tackler. These guys who launch themselves, those are the guys I worry about. But Kuechly at age 28, and I don't mean to say, well, he had money, that's why he retired. It makes it easier because what happens is the guys who don't have money, who have to continue to play. When you're the 53rd guy on the roster, you're the backup linebacker, you got to continue to play. Luke Kuechly has made $65 million. Maybe he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's on a team that wasn't going to be playing for a Super Bowl anytime soon. New coach in there, and maybe it's a rebuild. Maybe Cam Newton's not back there. If you look at Andrew Luck, he had money, able to walk away. Chris Borland did not have money when he retired from the San Francisco 49ers. Rob Gronkowski has money to be able to retire. And maybe with new salaries that these players can retire. Calvin Johnson retired earlier. Barry Sanders walked away, but, Barry wasn't in anywhere near the condition of Luke Kuechly. He just didn't want to keep losing, so he walked away. Maybe more players. I'm not shocked at this at all. Andrew Luck surprised me, but he was on a good team and he was healthy and he was coming off a good year and they had a good offensive line. Like this was where you said, oh, Andrew Luck is going to be, now he's going to show he's a Hall of Famer. That's what surprised me. When a quarterback walks away at that age, now you have my attention. If it's another player at another position, not as much. I'm not surprised that Luke Kuechly is walking away at 28. I applaud him for walking away at 28 because you really have to look at this and be responsible. And others may say, well, you got to play. Oh, you play hurt, or that's the way other players played. You get dinged up, you get back in there. Carson Wentz is being labeled a hero because he self-reported, I got a concussion here. He shouldn't be viewed as a hero, as just somebody who's being smart, and other players need to do this. Because I've said this before on this show, and as callous as it may sound, you don't care about these players when they're done. You might care if they come back and you have a ring of honor, but how do you help my team win? And when you're not in there and you can't help us, then you move on. And you'll move on, and you've moved on from a lot of these players. When's the last time you thought about Earl Campbell? When's the last time you thought about Tony Dorsett, who's dealing with concussion, dementia, head injuries? You move on. Everybody has this awareness, self-awakening, this epiphany when they saw Earl Campbell. They went, oh, my God, Earl has been like this for over a decade. And Earl's only a few years older. I think he's 5 or 6 years older than Barry Sanders. Earl Campbell that's how he played football. He couldn't play it any differently. He's debilitated. But I remember when we were at the Super Bowl in Houston, and I saw him in a wheelchair. And that's the first time I went, gosh, do we forget about these guys? And do we really care about these guys when they're gone? And we should, but we don't. We chew them up, we spit them out. That's what this sport does. And Earl Campbell has paid a price here. Luke Kuechly maybe has paid a price. Who knows what this is going to be like, his life will be like in 15, 20 years from now. But he walks away at 28, and he's able to walk away at 28.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.